Hello, I am Sarah from Frühlingskabine Micro-Farm, and today we're doing a question and answer session based on questions that you, blog readers, and YouTube subscribers submitted in the last couple days. We would like to do another Q&A session in the future, so if you have any questions after viewing these videos, go ahead and submit them to fmicrofarm@gmail.com or stop by our website at fmicrofarm.com. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read off the question and then answer them to the best of my ability. You guys have some really good questions here, so it should be interesting. People submitted questions anywhere from somewhat personal life questions to how we got farming, to food, to garden, to rabbits. So, I mean, it's just pretty much anything, just general curiosity questions. So we're going to do those today. So our first question is, approximately how much money do you save on your grocery bills with your microfarm? I understand this will vary by the seasons. I would just like a rough estimate. So that's a really good question that I'm not really sure how to answer because this is our third growing season. So we've only been doing this for 2 years. We're really new at this. And last year what we saved is going to be a lot different than this year. We're hoping to save a lot more. So for us, it's not necessarily how much we save, which, I mean, of course, that's going to be a big factor, how much you save on your grocery bills. But we really wanted just to get back to real food and a more natural way of living. So last year, we were not producing meat at all. It was just half of a garden, which was, let's see, about 22 by 13 feet. So it was really small. This year we're doing twice as much as that. And the other thing that we need to factor in is that we only have 2 growing seasons where we live here. So we live in the mountains. We live in the Sierra Nevada mountain foothills. And we really only have summer and winter because we get lots of snow, we get lots of frost. It's still freezing here and it's April. It freezes here until about after Mother's Day. That's kind of the general rule. And it starts freezing about Halloween. So we really don't have that long to grow anything. We really only have one shot to get everything in and out. Some crops we can double up on that are really fast growers, but things like pumpkins, I mean, if you screw up on a pumpkin plant, that's it. You're too late to try again if you're like already 30, 60 days in. So last year, we did not save anything during the winter because the garden wasn't growing and we weren't producing meat. So I'd say we saved absolutely nothing during the winter, except for maybe eggs, which is what, maybe $6 a week. Not very much. Last summer, I'd say we saved about half of our grocery bill just because we were eating everything out of the garden. I mean, anything that popped up, we were eating it, practically weeds. So about half of our bill last year, and now this year we are producing our own meat just for our own consumption. So we have, right now, and I'm still really kind of trying to kickstart it, I'm producing about 1 Hassenpfeffer a week. So that's not very much. I'd like there to be more, but we're getting there. So hopefully this summer I can give you a better estimate of what we're saving. I'll try and keep track for you. It's just really hard when, you know, you eat 3 meals a day to keep track of every single meal or, you know, what you're purchasing. During the summer we really only buy dairy products, like about a block of cheese, a 1-pound block of cheese a week. No eggs, but we do buy milk and yogurt and flour. So those are the things that we buy all the time, no matter what season it is. So if you kind of factor that, I don't know, we'll see. I'll try and keep track of that for you. I'll try and be a little mindful of what I'm spending on grocery bills right now versus the summer, because we're just starting to transition a little more. Okay, the second question is, what got you into all of this? Was there a tipping point in your life that prompted this change in lifestyle? That's a really good question too. There kind of was and kind of wasn't, because to give you a really brief backstory, I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area here in California. So I grew up right next door to Oakland. I'm sure most of you know where that is. So I had never seen a farm until I was like 16 years old. And I'm 26 now, so that was only 10 years ago. I did not know any farmers. I did not know anyone's parents or grandparents who were farmers. I think my dad grew up near a farm in Washington when he was a kid. So, I mean, I was not exposed to agriculture in any way, shape, or form. In fact, when my family moved to this area when I was 16, I mistakenly was put in the high school agriculture class, and I thought, like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, I don't want anything to do with cows or pigs or anything. So, I definitely did not grow up around this. I grew up going to the grocery store, buying my meat, buying, packaged foods, mac and cheese, canned raviolis. I mean, I had nothing to do with this growing up. So, coming into it in my 20s is really weird. That's really the only way to explain it. It's very strange. So, about 2 years ago, I guess it's 2 years ago, I'm kind of losing track now. 2 years ago, I was just kind of looking around the yard. We live on a 1/4 acre, which is not very big. I was just kind of looking around the yard, talking to our landlord, and I said, wouldn't it be cool if we had chickens? Like, can we have chickens? Is that okay with you if we built, like, a nice-looking coop? It's not going to be ugly or anything. If we do a nice job, can we have some chickens? And she said, okay, yeah, sure. And so we built the coop, we got some chickens, and when people say that chickens are kind of the gateway drug to farming, it's so true. Because that's what really got us started. Once we got the chickens, I thought, well, what else can we get away with? And we live in a homeowners association, which has banned livestock, but they don't seem to be very strict on it because I'm sure my neighbors know I have chickens, at least because they're a little noisier. I don't have a rooster, just 6 hens. So I'm sure everyone knows I have chickens, but I don't think anyone knows I have the rabbits or the bees. And I'm hoping kind of the quail, when we get them this month, will be fairly incognito. So the tipping point, I'm not really sure that there was one. It was just kind of an odd day during the summer. It was like the very last week of May, first week of June, and I said, well, if I go to the feed store and get some chickens, is that cool with you? And everyone said, okay, so I did it. And, I mean, from there, I just started thinking, well, I can't have sheep. I don't have enough space for sheep, obviously, on a 1/4 acre. That'd be ridiculous. What else produces wool? Because wouldn't that be so cool to, produce your own wool and knit a sweater or something? And that's where I got into the Angora rabbits. They were, actually they were third after the bees. We got the bees because we were walking around the local bookstore and I found a book on beekeeping. And in order to be able to play out all my other plans, I decided I needed to get Trevor into it. And so I kind of turned to him and I said, hey, why don't you get this beekeeping book? It's only like $20. Let's buy it and see if you like it. And if you don't, hey, it was only $20 on a book. You're not married to it, so what does it matter? And so he did end up liking it. He loved the book. It was Keeping Bees by Ashley English. And it's a very visual book, which I think helps a lot of people. You see how big a queen or a drone or a worker bee is or a nurse bee. And he got really into it. So we went and bought a bee box from Miller Bee Supply, and we got their starter kit, and we contacted some local beekeepers, and Trevor got his first hive, and then later he caught a swarm. I mean, it just kind of like snowballs. Once you get into this, it never ends, ever. So now we're adding quail, and we've doubled our garden this year, and I mean, I hope it doesn't ever stop, because it's really fun. So, no, I don't think there was a tipping point, but once I did tip, I just kind of rolled down the hill. So our next question is, how did you transition into eating real foods, and was it difficult? It is still difficult. For any of you who aren't familiar with the idea of real foods, it's basically the concept that if your great-grandmother doesn't recognize it, it's not real food. So anything packaged or processed or manipulated in any way. So, I mean, that would include GMO foods as well. You know, anything that's not absolutely natural. If you can't just bring it inside, chop it up, and call it a meal, it's not a real food. So, transitioning from store-bought bread to homemade bread was probably the hardest for my family. It wasn't hard for me because I really like the taste of the homemade sourdough better. And so I started the sourdough culture, started making sourdough on like a bi-weekly basis, and everyone started eating it. I think the real thing that got everyone to accept it, my husband and daughter, who's 3, is that it needs to be sliceable and it needs to be like sandwich bread size. So I think if you can get to that, then you can do the homemade bread and get away with it. So it's still difficult because, you know, you go to the store and everything is processed, everything's packaged, and it really is difficult to find real foods. And it's hard to make that transition and not crave, you know, store-bought, preservative-packed foods. You know, everything has it in it, even bread. I mean, that's kind of the perfect example, is getting away from store-bought bread is a really big thing because it's so full of sugars and preservatives and all kinds of nasty stuff that you don't really want to be eating. So I think that is still my hardest project, is switching to real foods completely. And I think it always will be difficult, especially here in America where everything that you see in the store is like that. We don't have, well, I mean, we have one, like a Whole Foods store. It's not, you know, the store brand specifically, but it's very similar to that. We also have a food co-op, which has really helped. So if you can find a food co-op in your area, they're usually run as like private memberships. That is going to be a lifesaver, and a lot of people will help you too. It becomes kind of a community. So once you get into that, it becomes a lot easier.